That night, a stranger saved my life with 4 words. Get a cab and run now. I don't know her name. I never saw her again. But every time I close my eyes, I see her hands trembling as she pressed that crumpled money into mine. My name is Patricia Patty Donovan. I'm 55 years old. And this is the story of the night I almost didn't make it to 56. It all started with a phone call. It was a Tuesday. I was at my sister Kathy's house, sipping herbal tea in her kitchen. I had been living there for 4 months. 4 months since I walked out of my own home with 2 suitcases and a heart shattered into 1,000 pieces. The phone vibrated. It was my daughter-in-law, Amanda. Well, still my daughter-in-law. Though I no longer lived with her son, my divorce from my husband, Charles, was not yet finalized. And that, according to my attorney, was a big problem. Are you going to answer that or not? Kathy asked, looking at me over her mug. I hesitated. We hadn't spoken in weeks, only brief, cold texts about paperwork and legal proceedings. I answered. Patty, her voice was different, soft, like before. I need to see you. Amanda, we've talked about this. My attorney, it's not about the divorce. It's about us. Silence. Us? I repeated bitterly. There is no us anymore. Please, just one dinner. A neutral place. I genuinely want to apologize. As it should be. Kathy was looking at me, shaking her head. I should have hung up. I should have said no. But there was something in her voice. Something that reminded me of the sweet girl who married my son 30 years ago. The woman who brought me homemade cookies on holidays. The one who held my hand when my father was sick. All right, I said, against every instinct. One dinner, nothing more. Thank you, Patty. Thank you. Tomorrow at 8 o'clock. The restaurant, the Oak Room, the one you loved so much. She hung up before I could change my mind. Kathy slammed her cup onto the counter. That woman and her family are not going to let you go without a fight, Patty. You know what's at stake. I knew it. The house, the business, the entire family trust left by my dad. Everything was in my name. Everything. And Amanda and Charles's side of the family. They never knew how to lose. The next day, I dressed slowly. I put on a navy blue dress. Simple, classy. I pinned my hair up. A spritz of perfume. Kathy insisted on driving me. I'll wait outside. If it's more than 1 hour, I'm coming in to get you. I smiled. My sister was always my guardian angel. The restaurant was downtown, on a quiet street. Dim lighting, tables with white linen cloths, soft jazz music. Amanda was already there. She stood up when she saw me. Dark suit, hair perfectly styled. That smile, that damned smile that always disarmed me. Patty, you look beautiful. I didn't answer. I sat down. We ordered wine, salad, roast chicken. We talked about unimportant things. The weather. A trip we took years ago to the Grand Canyon. How much I missed my mum's peach cobbler. She seemed normal, almost affectionate, almost believable. Then her phone rang. Excuse me, love. It's work. I'll be right back. She stood up and walked out toward the restaurant's back patio. I was left alone, fiddling with my napkin. And then she appeared. The busser. A young woman, about 25. Hair pulled back in a messy bun. Dark, nervous eyes. She approached quickly, as if afraid of being seen. She leaned toward me and whispered, Mom, I overheard something. She didn't come alone. My heart stopped. What? There are 2 men outside. They arrived before you did. I saw her talking to them in the parking lot. My hands started to shake. What do you mean? She pulled a crumpled bill from her apron. She pressed it into my hand. Get a cab and run now. Say you're going to the restroom. Go out the back door. Please. Why are you helping me? I whispered. Her eyes filled with tears. Because I also had a husband who smiled at me, right before he hurt me. I stood up. My legs were shaking. I grabbed my purse. I'm going to the restroom. I said loudly enough for anyone to hear. I walked slowly. I crossed the dining room. I passed the restroom. And I went out. I went out the back door, into the dark alley. I called a cab. I got in. I gave the driver Kathy's address. And as the car pulled away, I looked back. I saw Amanda returning to the table. I saw her look around. I saw her face change from surprise to fury. 2 hours later, my phone exploded with notifications. Kathy turned on the television, and there it was. Violent assault at downtown restaurant. 2 injured, terrified patrons. The restaurant was the Oak Room. Kathy looked at me, pale. My God, Patty, what happened in there? I couldn't speak. I could only think of one thing. The bus's words, get a cab and run now. What would have happened if I had stayed? Sometimes we trust too much in those we shouldn't. Have you also been disappointed by someone you loved? Tell me your story in the comments. I want to read them. I didn't sleep that night. I sat on Kathy's sofa, wrapped in a blanket, watching the news over and over. The same images, the same words, violent assault, 2 shot, chaos at downtown restaurant. Amanda called me 17 times. I didn't answer any. At 3 in the morning, she left a voicemail. Her voice sounded broken, desperate. Patty. Oh my God, Patty. Where are you? Are you okay? Something terrible happened here. I need to know you're safe. Please call me. I deleted the message. Kathy came into the living room with 2 mugs of tea. Are you going to tell me what really happened? She asked, sitting down next to me. So I told her. Everything. Amanda's call, the restaurant, the busser, the words she whispered to me, the crumpled money, the escape out the back door. Kathy listened in silence. When I finished, she squeezed my hand. That girl saved your life, Patty. But from what? I whispered. Was the assault a coincidence, or was it Amanda? I couldn't finish the sentence, because the mere idea that my daughter-in-law, the woman I had welcomed into my life 30 years ago, could have wanted to harm me, was too much. Kathy sighed. Patty, listen to me closely. That family is about to lose everything. The house, the business, Dad's trust, everything they've built up over years. It's all in your name. Do you really think they were going to let you walk away just like that? I closed my eyes. And then, unintentionally, the memories came, as they always do when you need them least. I met Amanda when she was 25 years old. I was working as an administrative assistant at an import company. She was dating my son, Henry, tall, confident, with a smile that made all the secretaries sigh. She only had eyes for Henry, but she went out of her way to be kind to me. She invited me to lunch one Friday afternoon, then dinner with her parents the next Saturday. And on Sunday, she brought me a bottle of fine wine, a California Cabernet, my favorite. How did you know? I asked, surprised. Because I listen to you, Patty. When you speak, I listen. I fell in love with her in that moment. She and Henry got married a year later in a small chapel in Dallas. My mother cried throughout the ceremony. My father gave Henry his blessing with moist eyes. Take care of her, son, he told Henry. She's my treasure. She will be mine too, sir. I promise you. And for years they kept that promise. We built a life together. We bought our first small house in a quiet suburb, with a garden where I planted roses and basil. Henry and Amanda worked hard. I did too. We helped each other. We supported each other. On Sundays, we grilled barbecue in the yard. Henry played classic rock music. I made sweet iced tea. We sat under the oak tree, holding hands, watching the sunset. You know what I love most about you, Patty? Amanda asked me one afternoon. What? You make me feel like everything is going to be okay. Always. I smiled. Because everything will be okay, Amanda, as long as we're together. She kissed my hand. As long as we're together. They never had children. They tried. For years. Treatments, doctors, hopes that were crushed month after month. I cried so much for them. Amanda hugged me in the darkness of her room. It doesn't matter, my love. You are enough for me. You always will be. And I believed her. I truly believed her. So we focused on other things, on growing, on building. When my father passed away, he left me his business, a small distributor of cleaning products. Nothing glamorous, but solid, profitable. Henry left his job and joined me. Now we are a team, Patty, you and I, against the world. We worked together for years. We expanded the business. We bought a bigger house, with 3 bedrooms, a huge garden, a dream kitchen. I decorated every corner with love. Linen curtains, plants in every window, framed photos of our travels. San Diego, Miami, New York. Always together, always smiling, always happy or not. Now looking back, I wonder when it started to change. Was it gradual? Or was there an exact moment when the woman I loved stopped being that woman? I think it was when the business started truly growing. About 5 years ago, we landed big contracts, hotel chains, hospitals, schools. The money poured in, a lot of money. And Amanda changed. She started coming home late. Meetings, love, you know how it is. She started traveling more. Got to close the deal in Seattle. I'll be back Friday. She started looking at me less, listening to me less, touching me less. One night I prepared her favorite dinner, pot roast and mashed potatoes. She loved them so much. I set the table nicely. Candles, wine. She arrived at 11 o'clock at night. What is this? She asked, pointing at the table. I wanted us to have dinner together, like before. Patty, I already ate. I have work to review. She went to her home office. I stayed seated, watching the candles melt, the food get cold, my heart break a little more. I should have seen the signs. The texts on her phone that she quickly deleted, the calls she answered in another room, the expensive perfume that wasn't mine on her jacket. But I didn't want to see, because seeing meant accepting, and accepting meant breaking, and breaking terrified me. So I did what so many women do. I kept silent. I made myself small. I convinced myself that everything was fine, that she was just stressed, that the love would return. But love doesn't return when it leaves by decision. It only returns when it never truly left. Kathy gently shook my shoulder. Patty, come back. I blinked. I was crying. Sorry, I whispered. I was remembering. I know, she said tenderly. But you're not there anymore, sis. You left that house. You made the decision. She was right. 4 months ago, after yet another night when Amanda came home late, smelling of a stranger's cologne with lipstick smears on her collar, I confronted her. Is there someone else? She didn't even have the decency to deny it. Patty, please, don't make this harder than it already is. Harder for who, Amanda? For you? Look, things change. People change. I'm not happy here anymore. And you think I am? Silence. I want a divorce, I said with a calm I didn't feel. You can stay tonight. Tomorrow. I'm leaving. Patty, wait. We can talk about this. You don't have to go. Yes, I do have to go. Because if I stay one more day in this house, watching you lie to my face, I'm going to forget who I am. That night I packed my bags. The next morning Kathy came for me. Amanda was gone. She left a note on the counter. Patty, I'm sorry, truly. 5 words. 30 years. 5 words. But what Amanda didn't know, what she didn't expect, was that everything was in my name. The house, the business, the accounts, the properties. My father, bless his soul, never fully trusted the family. Sweetie, he told me before he died, everything is in your name. Only your name. Promise me you'll never sign anything without reading it carefully. Promise me. I promise, Dad. I kept that promise. And now Amanda was about to lose everything. That's why she called. That's why she asked for that dinner. That's why she smiled and talked about the Grand Canyon and my mum's peach cobbler, because she needed me to sign, for me to give in, for me to disappear. I looked at Kathy. Do you think she planned something that night? Kathy didn't answer immediately. Then, in a serious voice, she said, I don't know, Patty, but this is what I do know. That busser saved you, and the universe doesn't put angels in your path for no reason. She was right. That girl, that stranger who had no reason to risk herself for me, saved me. And I didn't even know her name. As I tell all this, I wonder where you might be listening to me. Type the name of your city in the comments. The following days were strange. Amanda stopped calling. That bothered me more than all the previous calls and texts, because Amanda's silence was never good. It meant she was thinking, planning, calculating her next move. My attorney, Mr. Richard Ochoa, summoned me to his office that Monday morning. Patty, we need to talk, he said, with that serious tone that never announces good news. I sat down across from his desk. Kathy came with me. She always came with me. Mr. Ochoa opened a folder. Amanda filed a countersuit. What does that mean? I asked, though I already knew. It means she's not going to sign the divorce quietly. She's asking for half of everything, the house, the business, the accounts. She's even alleging that she was the one who built the family empire and that you— He paused awkwardly. That you only provided the name. I felt the blood rush to my head. That I only provided the name? She said that. Mr. Ochoa nodded. She presented documents, emails, contracts signed by her, witnesses who declare that she managed the entire business while you, and I quote verbatim, were dedicated to the home and social activities. Kathy pounded the table with her hand. That's a lie. Patty worked 12 hours a day. She was the one who reviewed every contract, every invoice, every— I know, Mr. Ochoa interrupted, raising his hand, and we are going to prove it. But I need you to understand something, Patty. This is going to be a battle. Long, dirty, and Amanda has good lawyers, very good ones. What do you recommend? I asked, my voice trembling. Don't sign anything. Don't speak to her without my presence. And he paused again. Be very careful. Careful? What do you mean? Mr. Ochoa exchanged a look with Kathy. Patty, when there's that much money at stake, people do things we never imagine. His words hung in the air, like a warning, like a prophecy. That afternoon I returned to the house. Our house. Well, my house. I hadn't been there in 2 weeks. Kathy had convinced me to stay with her while the legal process moved forward. It's not safe for you to be alone there, Patty. We don't know what Amanda might do. But I needed to pick up some things. Documents, photos, winter clothes. Kathy insisted on accompanying me. You are not going in alone. No way. We arrived at noon. The sun was shining brightly. The azaleas in the garden were blooming, pink and vibrant, as always this time of year. I opened the door with trembling hands. The house smelled different. It wasn't the scent of lavender and vanilla that I always maintained. It was something heavier, more foreign. Amanda, I called out just in case. No one answered. No one. We walked in slowly. Everything was a mess. Dirty dishes in the kitchen, clothes tossed on the sofa, empty bottles on the dining room table. Kathy wrinkled her nose. My God, is this how she lives now? I didn't answer. I just walked toward the stairs. I went up to our bedroom. Sorry, my bedroom. I opened the door and stopped dead in my tracks. The bed was unmade. The sheets were different. Black. I never bought black sheets. On the nightstand was a glass with remnants of wine, and next to it, an earring. Small, gold, a hoop. It wasn't mine. Kathy came in behind me. She saw the same thing I did. Patty, don't say anything, she whispered. Please. But nothing needed to be said. The images spoke for themselves. Amanda had brought someone here, to our house, to our bed, while I was crying at my sister's house, wondering where I went wrong. She was bringing another woman to sleep in the sheets where we once slept together. I felt nauseous. Kathy took my arm. Let's get out of here now. No, I said firmly. I came for my things, and I'm going to take them. I opened the closet. My clothes were still there, but in the back, next to my dresses, were women's clothes that weren't mine. A red dress, black heels, an expensive perfume on the shelf. Chanel. I always wore Joy. Amanda knew that. It was my perfume since we married, but now our room smelled like Chanel. I started taking out my clothes, fast, with anger. Kathy brought suitcases from the guest room. Take everything you can. Don't come back here. I was taking out my shoes when I heard something. A noise downstairs. The front door. Kathy and I looked at each other. Is it her? She whispered. Footsteps coming up the stairs. My heart started pounding. The bedroom door opened, and there she was. Amanda. But she wasn't alone. Behind her, a woman, young, maybe 30 years old, long wavy brown hair, impeccable makeup, a tight dress, and that perfume, Chanel. We looked at each other, she surprised, me devastated. Amanda turned pale. Patty, I didn't know you were coming. Kathy stepped between us. Of course you didn't know, because this is still her house, you piece of… Kathy, please, I said in a calm voice. It's not worth it. I looked at Amanda, then at the woman. Is she the reason? I asked. Amanda opened her mouth, then closed it. She didn't know what to say. The woman, however, smiled. a small, cruel smile. "I'm Victoria," she said, extending her hand as if we were at a social gathering. "Charmed." I didn't shake her hand. I just looked at her. And in that moment, I saw everything. I saw the youth I no longer had. I saw the firm, wrinkle-free skin. I saw the body that hadn't carried children, that hadn't carried years of work and sleepless nights. I saw everything Amanda wanted, and I no longer was. Victoria lowered her hand, uncomfortable. "Well, I guess I'll wait downstairs, love." Love. That word. That damned word that was once mine. Amanda nodded. She left, leaving a trail of Chanel and triumph. The three of us remained. Amanda, Kathy, me. The silence was so heavy it hurt. "Patty, listen," Amanda began. "No," I cut her off. "I don't want to hear anything. I just came for my things, and I'm leaving now." "This didn't have to be this way," she insisted. "We could have talked. We could have reached an agreement." "An agreement?" I repeated bitterly. "Like the one you tried to make at the restaurant?" Her face changed. "What?" "The Oak Room, Amanda. What happened that night? What were you going to do to me?" Something dark crossed her eyes. "I don't know what you're talking about." "Of course you do. 2 men in the parking lot. A busser who warned me. An assault. 2 hours later. Do you really think I'm going to believe it was a coincidence?" Amanda took a step toward me. "Be careful what you insinuate, Patty. You're talking without proof." "I don't need proof," I said, looking her straight in the eye. "I know you. I know how you think, how you move, and I know you're capable of anything when money is involved." "I would never hurt you," she said in a low, dangerous voice. "Never." "You already hurt me, Amanda. Every day for the last 5 years. Every lie. Every deception. Every night you came home smelling of someone else." She clenched her jaw. "If you're going to leave, then go. But don't come into my house accusing me of things I didn't do." "Your house?" I repeated ironically. "This is my house, Amanda. My name is on the deed, not yours." Her eyes darkened. "We'll see about that." Kathy took my arm. "Let's go, Patty. Now." I closed the suitcase. I grabbed my purse. And before leaving, I turned to Amanda one last time. "I'm going to fight for what's mine," I said. "And I'm going to win. Because the truth always wins, Amanda. Always." I walked out of that room. I went downstairs. I passed Victoria, who was sitting on my sofa, looking at her phone as if nothing was happening. I left that house. I got into Kathy's car. And as we drove away, I looked in the rearview mirror. Amanda was in the doorway, watching us leave. With that look I knew so well. The look of a woman who had just declared war. That night, Kathy made me chamomile tea. "Are you okay?" "No," I replied honestly. "But I will be." "What are you going to do?" "What I have to do. Gather evidence. Fight. Win." Kathy smiled. "That's my sister." But inside, a part of me was trembling. Because I had seen something in Amanda's eyes. Something I had never seen before. It wasn't love. It wasn't even hatred. It was coldness, calculation, determination. And that scared me more than any threat. Because the Amanda I knew, the one who brought me Cabernet and hugged me in the rain, that woman no longer existed. And the woman who had taken her place had no limits. The weeks that followed were the darkest of my life. Not because they were the most painful, but because they were the most confusing. because a part of me, a small, foolish, desperate part, still wanted to believe that everything could be fixed, that Amanda would come to her senses, that she would truly apologize, that it had all been a mistake, a passing madness, a bad dream from which we would wake up together. How stupid I was. Mr. Ochoa summoned me again. "Patty, I need you to see this." He slid a folder across his desk. Inside were photographs of me, leaving Kathy's house, shopping at Kroger, having coffee on a patio, photos taken without my knowledge. "What is this?" I asked, feeling the air escape my chest. "Amanda hired a private investigator. She's following you." Kathy, sitting beside me, jumped to her feet. "What? Is that legal?" "Technically, yes," Mr. Ochoa replied with a grim expression. "As long as she doesn't enter private property or harass you directly. She's trying to find something." "Something like what?" I asked. "Anything she can use against you. A new relationship, excessive spending, inappropriate behavior. Anything to justify her narrative that you don't deserve to keep everything." I felt the walls closing in on me. "But I haven't done anything. I'm just living my life." "I know. And that's exactly what you have to keep doing. But carefully, very carefully." I looked at the photographs again. In one, I was smiling, talking to the man who sells flowers on the corner. In another, I was hugging Kathy outside a restaurant. Innocent images, everyday moments. But in the hands of a good lawyer, anything could be twisted. Anything could become a weapon. That night, Amanda called me. I hesitated. I looked at Kathy. "Don't answer," she warned me. But something in me, something weak, something that still loved her, answered. "Patty?" "What do you want, Amanda?" Her voice sounded different, soft, vulnerable. "I need to see you. Please. I have nothing to talk about with you. Please, Patty. Just 5 minutes. I beg you." Silence. "What for?" "To tell you the truth. To explain. To apologize properly." There it was again. That promise. That apology that never arrived. "Amanda, I know I messed up. I know it. But Victoria, she means nothing. It was a mistake. A moment of weakness. You are my mother-in-law, Patty. My whole life." The words I had waited so long to hear. But now they sounded hollow, false, like a rehearsed script. "If you were truly sorry, you wouldn't be following me with an investigator," I said firmly. Silence on the other end. Long, uncomfortable. "How?" "I know everything, Amanda. The photos, the countersuit, the false witnesses. I know exactly what you are doing." Her tone changed, from vulnerable to cold in a second. "Then you know this is going to be long and painful for both of us." "You don't scare me." "You should," she said, and hung up. My hands were shaking. Kathy took the phone from me. "Don't ever answer her again. Never. Do you hear me?" I nodded. But inside something had broken a little more. Despite everything, I kept going. I went back to the business. My distributorship. I hadn't stepped foot in those offices for months. Amanda had been running everything while I took refuge at Kathy's house. But it was time to take back control. I arrived early one Monday morning. The receptionist, Sandy, greeted me with surprise. "Mrs. Donovan, we didn't know you were coming in today." "It's my company, Sandy. I don't need to give notice." Sandy offered an uncomfortable smile. Of course, Mom. It's just, well, Amanda said you were taking some time off. Taking some time off, I repeated. Yes, she said you were having some health issues and that she would handle everything until you recovered. I felt my blood boil. Health issues, as if I were crazy, as if I couldn't handle my own affairs. I'm perfectly fine, Sandy. Where is Amanda? In her office, Ma'am. I walked down the hall. Employees looked at me with a mixture of surprise and pity. What had Amanda told them? I reached the office. Our office. The one we shared since Dad left me the business. I opened the door without knocking. Amanda was sitting behind the desk, talking on the phone. When she saw me, she turned pale. I'll call you back later, she said quickly and hung up. We stared at each other. Patty. What? What's the surprise? Surprise, I repeated. In my own company? Our company, she corrected. My company, I said, approaching the desk. The one I inherited from my father. The one that is in my name. You know we built it together. Yes. And you know you're destroying it with your lies. She stood up. I don't know what you're talking about. Health issues, Amanda. Is that what you told the employees? That I'm crazy? That I can't work? I never said you were crazy. I just said you needed rest. And it's true. Look at you. You're drawn. You have dark circles. This is consuming you. What's consuming me is you. She took a step toward me. Patty, please. Let's set pride aside. Let's sit down. Let's talk like adults. This doesn't have to end in war. And there it was. That voice. That damned, soft, reasonable voice that had convinced me for years that I was overreacting. That I was the dramatic one. That I was the problem. Talk like adults, I repeated. Like when you planned whatever it was you were going to do at that restaurant. Her face hardened. I already told you. I didn't plan anything. Then why were there 2 men waiting for you in the parking lot? Why did the busser warn me? Why? Because you're paranoid, she exploded. All this has made you crazy, Patty. You see conspiracies where there are none. That busser probably wanted a tip, or was confused, or who knows what. But I would never hurt you. I stood silent, staring at her. And for the first time, I truly saw. I saw the act. I saw the manipulation. I saw how she looked at me, not with love, but with pity, as if I were an idiot, a fool who could be convinced with pretty words and empty promises. I'm going to ask you to leave this office, I said, in a calm voice. What? You left my house. Now you leave my office and my company. Patty, you can't do that. I work here. I have signed contracts. My attorney has already reviewed everything. You are not a partner. You are not an owner. You are an employee, and you are fired. Her face turned red. This is insane. Call security if you want, or leave on your own. You decide. She just stood there, looking at me with pure hatred. And then she smiled, a cold smile, calculating. You're going to regret this, Patty. I already regret a lot of things, Amanda, but kicking you out of here won't be one of them. She grabbed her blazer, her briefcase, and before leaving, she stopped at the door. 30 years, Patty. 30 years together. And this is how it ends. With threats and lawyers. No, I corrected her. This is how it ends when a woman decides her mother-in-law is worth less than money. She walked out. The door closed, and I was left alone. In that office that smelled of her, of coffee, of expensive cologne, of betrayal. I sat down in the chair. I put my hands on the desk. And for the first time in months, I breathed. But the peace was short-lived. That same afternoon, Mr. Ochoa called me. "Patty, Amanda filed a complaint." "What kind of complaint?" "She says you fired her illegally, that you have severe emotional problems, that you're making erratic decisions that put the company at risk, and that," he paused, "that you need psychiatric help." I felt the floor open beneath my feet. Psychiatric help? She's trying to build a case for mental incapacity. If she succeeds, a judge could remove you from control of your assets until you recover. But that's legal abuse. I know, and we're going to fight it. But, Patty, I need you to understand how far she's willing to go. I hung up. I sat there, staring at the ceiling, and for the first time, I felt fear, real fear, because Amanda didn't just want the money. She wanted to destroy me, erase me, make me disappear. And worst of all, a part of me, that part that still loved her, still wanted to believe she wasn't capable, that this was just anger. What would happen? That she would go back to being the woman who loved me? How foolish, how naive, how submissive. As I tell all this, I wonder where you might be listening to me. Type the name of your city in the comments. 2 weeks passed. 2 weeks in which I tried to regain control of my life. I returned to the office every day. I reviewed contracts. I spoke with clients. I met with the team. Many looked at me with distrust. Amanda had sown her seeds well. The boss is going through a hard time. She's not right in the head. Better wait and see what happens with the divorce. But little by little, I regained ground. Because I did know the business. I did know how every department worked. I had been there since the beginning, when we were just 3 employees in a borrowed warehouse, and people started to remember. One afternoon, while reviewing invoices in my office, there was a knock at the door. It was Robert, our accountant. A man in his 60s, quiet, meticulous, who had been with us since Dad founded the company. "Mrs. Donovan, do you have a moment?" "Of course, Robert. Come in." He entered and closed the door behind him. He looked nervous. "Is something wrong?" He sat down across from me. He took a folder from his briefcase. "Ma'am, there's something you need to see." He opened the folder. Inside were bank statements, transfers, withdrawals, numbers that didn't add up. "What is this?" I asked. "These are transactions Amanda made in the last 6 months. Since you stopped coming to the office." I started reading. Transfers to accounts I didn't recognize. Cash withdrawals for enormous amounts. $50,000. $70,000. $100,000. "My God," I whispered. "Is there more?" "Yes," Robert said in a low voice. "Contracts signed in the company's name, but the money never entered the main accounts." "Where did it go?" "I don't know, but I suspect that Amanda has personal accounts that we don't know about." I felt the air escape my chest. How much? How much money did she take?" Robert swallowed. "Approximately $800,000. The world stopped. $800,000. Diverted. Stolen. Hidden. "Why are you telling me this only now?" I asked, trying to stay calm. "Because she threatened me, Mom. She said if I spoke, she would fire me, that she would sue me, that she would destroy me. And I have a family, I have grandkids. I couldn't risk it. But now she's no longer here, and you have the right to know the truth. I looked at the papers again. Dates, amounts, names of shell companies. Everything was there. The proof that Amanda had not only betrayed me as a daughter-in-law, she had stolen from me. She had looted my company. She had taken the money my father built with sweat and sacrifice, and she had hidden it, to keep it, to use it against me. Robert, I said with a trembling voice, I need you to help me document all of this. Every transaction, every transfer, every cent. Yes, Ma'am. I've already started. Here is everything. He handed me the folder. It felt heavy, not because of the paper, but because of what it represented. The truth, the betrayal, the proof that the woman I loved for 30 years was a thief. That same afternoon, I went straight to Mr. Ochoa's office. I walked in without an appointment. Patty, what? I have proof, I said, placing the folder on his desk. Amanda stole $800,000 from the company. Mr. Ochoa opened the folder. He started reading. His expression changed, from surprise to shock, from shock to satisfaction. This is gold, Patty. Can we use it? Use it? This doesn't just destroy her countersuit. This sinks her, legally, financially. This is fraud, embezzlement. She could go to jail. I felt a chill. Jail? If we press criminal charges, yes. But first we're going to use this in the divorce. We're going to prove that she not only doesn't deserve anything, but that she owes you a lot. I sat down. My legs were trembling. What do I do now? Nothing. Don't tell Amanda anything. Don't give her any hint that we know. Leave it to me. I'll prepare everything. And when we're ready, we're going to hit her with this when she least expects it. I nodded. But inside I felt something strange. It wasn't joy. It wasn't revenge. It was sadness. Deep sadness. Because those numbers, those transfers, those lies were the final proof that the woman I loved never existed. I couldn't sleep that night. I stayed seated in Kathy's living room, watching the city lights through the window. My sister sat down next to me. Want to talk? I don't know what to say. Tell me what you feel. I closed my eyes. I feel like I wasted my life. Don't say that. 30 years, Kathy. 30 years believing we were building something together, that we were a team. And all this time she was just waiting for the moment to betray me. You didn't waste anything. You loved. You trusted. You built. That wasn't a waste. It was courage. I don't feel brave. But you are. Because despite everything, you're still standing. I sighed. You know what the worst part is? What? That a part of me still misses her. Still misses the person I thought she was. Still misses the Sundays in the garden. The coffee in the morning. The way she hugged me when it rained. Kathy took my hand. You don't miss her, Patty. You miss what you built, what you gave, because that person was never real. She was right, but it hurt just the same. 2 days later, I received a text message from an unknown number. Mrs. Donovan, this is Victoria. I need to talk to you. It's important. I stared at the screen. Victoria? Amanda's lover? What did she want from me? I showed the text to Kathy. Don't respond. It's a trap. What if it isn't? What if it is, Patty? That woman is with her. Why would she contact you? I I don't know, but I want to know what she has to say. Are you crazy? Probably. I replied to the message. What do you want? The answer arrived in seconds. To meet. In person. There are things you need to know about Amanda. Things that scare me. Scare? That word stopped me. When? Tomorrow. Coffee shop on the corner. 2 in the afternoon. Please, come alone. Kathy was looking at me, shaking her head. You're not going. Yes, I am going. Patty. Kathy, if that woman knows something, if she has information that can help me, I have to listen to her. What if it's a trap? Then I'll leave. But at least I tried. My sister sighed. All right, but I'm going with you. I'll wait outside in the car. Anything happens, call me. I accepted. The next day, I arrived at the coffee shop 15 minutes early. I sat down at a table by the window. I ordered a latte I had no intention of drinking. And I waited. At 2 o'clock precisely, she arrived. Victoria. But she looked different. No makeup, hair loose, undressed, dark glasses that she didn't take off upon entering. She sat down across from me. We looked at each other in silence. Thank you for coming, she said, in a low voice. What do you want, Victoria? She looked around, nervous. Then slowly she took off her glasses, and I saw a bruise, dark, purple, around her left eye. I felt my stomach churn. My God. It was Amanda, she said, her voice breaking. Last night. Why? Because I told her I wanted to end it, that this had gotten out of control, that I didn't want to be part of this anymore. Part of what? Victoria pulled out her phone. She slid something across the table. A photograph. Of a document. A contract. I read it, and the world stopped. It was a life insurance policy. In my name. For $2 million. And the beneficiary was Amanda. What is this? I whispered. It's what I found on her computer 3 days ago. Patty. She has a plan. And you are in danger. My hands started trembling. What kind of plan? Victoria leaned toward me, and in a trembling voice she said, That night at the restaurant, it wasn't an assault, Ma'am. It was an attempt. She hired those men. They were going to make it look like a robbery gone wrong. And you were going to die. My latte fell from my hands. The liquid spilled over the table. But I didn't move. I couldn't move. I couldn't breathe. How do you know that? Because I was there, in the parking lot. I saw her talking to them. I heard her. And when the busser helped you leave, when the plan failed, she went crazy. She smashed everything in the house. She screamed that you ruined her, that she would have to find another way. Another way? Victoria nodded, with tears in her eyes. That's why I came. Because I thought this was just an affair. Easy money. A rich woman who would give me the life I wanted. But she's a monster, Ma'am, and I won't be an accomplice to murder. I sat there, looking at her, looking at the bruise on her face, looking at the insurance contract on the table, and I understood. I understood everything. The restaurant, the dinner, the smile. It wasn't reconciliation. It was an execution. And I almost fell for it. I almost stayed. I almost died. I still wonder if I did the right thing. What about you? What would you have done in my place? I don't remember how I left that coffee shop. I don't remember if I paid for the latte. I don't remember if I said goodbye to Victoria. I only remember walking toward the car where Kathy was waiting for me, opening the door, sitting down, and breaking down. I cried like I hadn't cried in years. I cried for the woman I was, for the naive woman who believed in promises, for the woman who woke up every morning thinking her daughter-in-law loved her, when in reality she was just waiting for the perfect moment to kill her. Kathy hugged me without asking, because sisters always know. When I finally could speak, I told her everything. The insurance contract, Victoria's confession, the plan, the damned plan. Kathy went pale. We have to go to the police, now. No, I said, wiping away my tears. First we go to Mr. Ochoa. We need to do this right. With proof. With strategy. Patty, that woman tried to kill you. What more proof do you need? I need this to be irrefutable, because if I go to the police now with only Victoria's testimony, Amanda will say it's a lie, that she's spiteful, that I manipulated her, and she'll bury me. Kathy gripped the steering wheel tightly. All right, but promise me something. What? That you won't be alone, not for a minute, until that woman is behind bars. I nodded, because I was scared. Real fear. The kind of fear that chills your blood, that makes you see shadows where there are none, that makes you doubt every car that follows you, every unknown call, every noise at night. Mr. Ochoa received us immediately. When I showed him the photograph of the insurance contract, he stood up. My God, is this real? Is that contract legal? Yes and no. It's real in the sense that it exists, but it's illegal because she can't be the beneficiary of a policy in your name without your consent, much less without your knowledge. So what do we do? Mr. Ochoa walked to the window. He stood there, thinking. We need Victoria. We need her to testify. Officially. Will she want to? If she's scared of Amanda? Yes, because the best protection she can have is for Amanda to be locked up. What if Amanda threatens her? If she hurts her? That's why we're going to move fast. I'm going to contact a prosecutor I know. We're going to ask for an immediate restraining order against Amanda. And we're going to file criminal charges for fraud, embezzlement, and... He paused. Attempted murder. Those words, attempted murder, referring to my daughter-in-law, the woman I had loved for 30 years, the one who knew every corner of my house, the one who promised to be family until death. Until my death. That night, Kathy insisted I stay in her room. You're not sleeping alone. Kathy, I'm fine. No, you're not fine, and I won't leave you alone for a second. We lay down in her bed, like when we were children, when we were scared of the storm, or the darkness, or the monsters under the bed. I never imagined that the real monster would be the woman who put a ring on my son's finger. Patty? Kathy whispered in the dark. Yes. How did you not see it? How did you not see she was capable of this? I closed my eyes. Because I didn't want to see. Because when you love someone, you believe what they tell you. You believe in their promises. You believe that the good person you saw at the beginning is still there, just hidden, waiting to return. But she never returned. No, because she never left. Because that good person never existed. It was just a mask. And when she no longer needed it, she took it off. Kathy took my hand in the dark. You're going to get through this. I promise you. How do you know? Because you're the strongest woman I know, and because Dad didn't leave you everything for some lowlife to take it away from you. I smiled in the dark. Dad, if he were alive, if he could see me now, what would he say? Probably, I told you so, sweetie. I told you that woman wasn't trustworthy. And he would be right. He was always right. The next morning, Victoria came to Mr. Ochoa's office. She arrived wearing dark glasses, a baseball cap, as if she wanted to hide from the world. We sat in the conference room. Mr. Ochoa recorded the entire conversation. Victoria, I need you to tell me everything, from the beginning. She took a deep breath and began. I met Amanda 8 months ago, at a bar in downtown. She was alone, drinking whiskey. She approached me. She bought me a drink. Did she tell you she was married? Not at first, but I suspected it. She never invited me to her house. We always met in hotels. She always paid in cash. When did she confirm it? About a month in. She said she was going through a divorce, that her mother-in-law was a difficult woman, bitter, that she was taking everything from her, that she needed support. Support. Emotional and physical. She paused. It was nice at first. She took me to expensive restaurants. She bought me clothes, jewelry. She made me feel special. When did she change? About 3 months ago. She started talking more about you, Mrs. Donovan, about how much money you had, about the company, about the trust. She said you didn't deserve anything, that she had built everything, that you were just a kept woman. That word, kept woman, coming from my daughter-in-law, the woman who knew every sacrifice I made, every sleepless night reviewing contracts, every weekend working when everyone else was resting. Kathy squeezed my hand. Victoria continued. One day about 6 weeks ago, she came to my apartment very agitated, drunk, furious. She said you weren't going to sign the divorce, that you were being difficult, that she needed a solution. What kind of solution? Victoria looked down. At first I thought she was talking about lawyers, about legal pressure. But then she started talking about insurance, about money, about how much easier everything would be if you were no longer around. Mr. Ochoa leaned forward. Did she explicitly say she wanted to kill Patty? Not with those words, but yes, she said. If something happened to her, everything would be mine, and we would be free. What did you say? Nothing. I kept silent. Why? Because I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I thought it was the alcohol, that she was angry, that it would pass. But it didn't pass? No. 2 weeks later, she showed me the insurance contract. She said she had done it without your knowledge, that if anything happened to you, she would receive $2 million, and that with me, we could start a new life, in another country, without problems. And the night of the restaurant? Victoria closed her eyes. That night she called me before leaving. She was nervous, excited. She said she had found the perfect way, that she had hired 2 men, that they were going to fake a robbery, that in the middle of the chaos you were going to get shot. Accidental. Tragic. My stomach turned over. Were you in agreement? No, Victoria exclaimed with tears in her eyes. I told her she was crazy, that she couldn't do that, that it was murder. But she told me it was already paid for, that there was no turning back, and that if I said anything, the same thing would happen to me. Is that why you didn't speak sooner? Yes, I was scared. But when the busser helped you leave, when the plan failed, Amanda went crazy. She destroyed my apartment. She hit me. She told me I was useless, that I was good for nothing, and that she would find another way to get rid of you. Mr. Ochoa stopped the recording. Victoria, are you willing to declare all this before a prosecutor? She nodded. Yes, because I'm scared. And because? Because what she tried to do is wrong, very wrong, and I don't want to be a part of it. Mr. Ochoa looked over at me. Patty, with this testimony, we can sink Amanda. Legally, criminally. She will go to prison. I nodded, but I didn't feel victory, only emptiness. Because the woman sitting across from me, the woman my daughter-in-law chose over me, was also a victim. She had also been used. She had also believed in promises that were never real. Victoria, I said softly, thank you for coming, for speaking, for saving my life. She looked at me, surprised. I didn't save you, Mom. The busser did. You are saving me now. And that counts too. Victoria started crying. I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. I didn't know she was like this. I didn't know. I know, I said. She's very good at lying. She lied to me for 30 years. That same afternoon, Mr. Ochoa went with Victoria to the district attorney's office. They presented the testimony, the evidence, the insurance contract, the messages between Amanda and the men she hired for the supposed assault. Everything. And 2 hours later, an arrest warrant was issued for Amanda Carter. For fraud, for embezzlement, for conspiracy to commit murder. Mr. Ochoa called me. It's done, Patty. The police are going to look for her. They'll probably detain her tonight. And me? You are protected. There's a restraining order. She can't approach you. She can't call you. She can't look for you. And if she does, she goes straight to prison. I hung up. I sat down on Kathy's sofa, and for the first time in months, I cried tears of relief. Because it was over. The nightmare was over, or so I thought. That night, at 11 o'clock, Amanda was arrested. It was on the news. Businesswoman arrested for attempted murder of mother-in-law over $1 million trust. I saw the images. Amanda being taken out of a house I didn't recognize, handcuffed, head down, getting into the squad car. Kathy turned off the television. How do you feel? I don't know, I replied honestly. I should feel satisfaction, victory, but I only feel sadness. For her? No, for me. For the 30 years I lost loving a woman who never existed. Kathy hugged me. You didn't lose them, Patty. You lived them, and you learned, and you survived. And that's what matters. She was right. I survived. When she wanted me to die, I survived. And that was my victory. 2 days later, I received a letter, delivered by a courier, from Amanda's law firm. I opened it with trembling hands. Inside was a sheet of paper, handwritten, in Amanda's hand. Patty, I know I have no right to ask you for anything. I know what I did is unforgivable. But I need you to know something. I never wanted you to be hurt. Everything got out of control. The money, the pressure, the desperation. I lost my way. I lost my mind. And I lost the only thing that was worthwhile. You. I'm going to pay for what I did. I know. And I accept it. But before this ends, I want you to know that I did love you. Maybe not the right way. maybe not enough. But I loved you. Forgive me. Amanda. I read the letter. Once, twice, 3 times. And then I tore it up into tiny pieces. Because those words no longer had power over me. Because forgiveness is earned with actions, not with pretty letters on paper. And Amanda no longer deserved my forgiveness, my pain, or a single second more of my life. Amanda spent 3 days in detention before her attorney managed to get her bail. $500,000, money that, I later learned, she borrowed from her parents, because the accounts where she had hidden my money were already frozen by court order. Mr. Ochoa called to inform me. Patty, she's out on bail, but she has to wear an electronic bracelet. She can't leave the city, and above all, she can't approach you within 500 yards. What if she does? She goes back to prison, immediately. I should have felt safe. But no, because I knew Amanda and I knew that rules were never an obstacle for her. The following days were strange. I returned to my house. My house. The one that had been our home for 20 years. Kathy didn't want me to go alone. Stay with me a few more days, until everything calms down. No, Kathy. I've hidden enough. It's time to take back my life. I hired a locksmith. I changed all the locks. I hired a security company. They installed cameras, alarms, motion sensors. My house became a fortress. But inside I still felt vulnerable. One afternoon, while organizing papers in my home office, I found a box at the back of the closet. A box I hadn't seen in years. I opened it. Inside were photographs. Of us, of Amanda and me. Our son's wedding. Her in a black suit, me in a white dress, smiling as if the world were ours. Our first anniversary, in Miami. Hugging in front of the ocean. Our 10th. In New York. Eating pizza under a sycamore tree. Our 20th. At home. Her with a rose in her hand. Me in that blue dress she liked so much. Image after image. Moment after moment. Lie after lie. Because now, looking at those photos, I no longer saw love. I saw acting. I saw calculation. I saw a person who knew exactly how to smile for the camera, while inside planning how to take everything. I closed the box. I took it to the backyard, and I burned it. I watched the photographs curl in the flames, the colors fade, our faces disappear. And I felt peace, because those images were of the past, and I no longer lived there. The trial was scheduled for 2 months later. But before that, there was a preliminary hearing. Mr. Ochoa explained that it was mandatory. It's just a formality, Patty, to establish the precautionary measures. You don't have to speak. Just be present. Will Amanda be there? Yes. I don't want to see her. I know. But it's necessary. Just don't look at her. Don't give her the power to see you suffer. She was right, but it was easier said than done. The morning of the hearing, I dressed carefully, a grey business suit, sober, elegant. I pinned my hair up, a touch of makeup. I looked in the mirror, and I saw a woman I didn't recognize. Stronger, tougher, more alone. Kathy accompanied me to the courthouse. We entered through a side door, to avoid the press. Because yes, the press was there. Businesswoman accused of trying to murder mother-in-law for multi-million-dollar trust. The headlines were brutal. And I had become a spectacle. We entered the courtroom. Mr. Ochoa was already there, and Victoria too, sitting in a corner, head down. She greeted me with a shy gesture. I returned the greeting. And then The doors on the other side opened, and she entered. Amanda, in a dark suit, navy blue tie, her hair slicked back as always, but she looked different, thinner, paler, with deep, dark circles. Our eyes met, only for a second. But in that second, I saw everything. I saw the hatred, the rage, the humiliation, and something else. Something I had never seen in her eyes. Fear. Amanda was afraid, because for the first time in her life, she wasn't in control. The judge entered. We all stood up. The hearing began. The prosecutor presented the charges: fraud, embezzlement, conspiracy to commit murder. Amanda's attorney requested the floor. Your Honor, my client denies all charges. The accusation is based on the testimony of a spiteful woman and on documents taken out of context. There is no conclusive evidence that Mrs. Carter attempted to harm her mother-in-law. The prosecutor smiled. There's no evidence. We have the fraudulent insurance contract. We have the illegal transfers. We have the testimony of Ms. Victoria Soto. And we have, he paused dramatically, the two men Mrs. Carter hired for the alleged assault. Amanda's lawyer turned pale. What? We found them, Counselor, and they talked, in exchange for a reduction in their sentence. They testified that Amanda Carter paid them $50,000 to simulate a robbery at the Oak Room restaurant, and that, in the middle of the chaos, they were to shoot Mrs. Patricia Donovan, making it look like an accident. The silence in the room was absolute. Amanda was rigid in her chair, not moving, not breathing. The judge looked at her intently. Mrs. Carter, do you have anything to say? Amanda stood up. I didn't. But her voice broke, and for the first time, I saw her break. I didn't want things to go that far, she said with a trembling voice. Everything got out of control. The money, the pressure. I just wanted to get back what was mine. What was yours? The judge repeated severely. None of that was yours, Mrs. Carter. You stole, you lied, and you conspired to murder your mother-in-law. Sit down. Amanda collapsed into her chair. And I looked at her, truly looked at her, and I no longer saw the woman I loved. I saw a stranger, a criminal, someone who, for money, was willing to erase me from the world. The judge issued his orders. Bail was maintained, but with stricter restrictions. Amanda could not leave her residence except for meetings with her attorney. The electronic bracelet stayed on, and the restraining order against me was extended to 1,000 yards. The hearing is concluded, the judge said. The formal trial will be in 2 months. You may be dismissed. I stood up. Kathy took my arm. And as I passed Amanda, she looked at me and whispered something, so low I barely heard it. Forgive me. I stopped. I looked at her, and in a firm, serene voice, I said, no. And I kept walking. Because forgiveness wasn't for her. It was for me. And I had already forgiven myself. For trusting, for loving, for believing. Outside the courthouse, the press was waiting for us. Flashes, microphones, shouted questions. Mrs. Donovan, how do you feel after the hearing? Ma'am, is it true your daughter-in-law hired hitmen? Mrs. Donovan, are you afraid she'll try something? Mr. Ochoa raised his hand. No comment. Thank you. We pushed our way to the car. We got in. And as we drove away, I looked back. And I saw Amanda leaving the courthouse, handcuffed again. because the judge had revoked her bail. The new evidence was too conclusive. Amanda was returning to prison, and this time she wouldn't leave until the trial. That night, Kathy cooked dinner. "Eat something, Patty. You haven't had a bite all day." "I'm not hungry." "I don't care. Eat." I smiled. My sister was always bossy. I ate a little. Chicken and rice. Simple. Homemade. "How do you feel?" Kathy asked. "Strange." "Why?" "Because I thought that when all this ended, I would feel relief, happiness, victory. But I only feel empty." "It's normal, Patty. You spent 30 years with that woman. Even if it was a lie, for you it was real. And that hurts." "Yes, it hurts. But it will pass. And one day you'll wake up and it won't hurt anymore. And you'll realize you are free." "Free?" "Free from the lies, free from the fear, free to live for someone who didn't value you. That, sister, that's a gift." She was right, even if it didn't feel like a gift yet. 3 days later, I received a call from the director of the hospital where Dad spent his last days. "Mrs. Donovan, I'm calling because we found something among your father's belongings." "What thing?" "A letter, sealed, with your name on it, and a note that says, 'Deliver to Patty only if something bad happens to her.'" My heart stopped. "A letter?" "Yes. Would you like us to send it to you?" "No. I'm coming over." I went alone. Kathy wanted to accompany me, but I needed to do this by myself. I arrived at the hospital. The director received me in her office. She handed me a yellowed envelope, sealed with wax, in Dad's handwriting. "For Patty. Only if something bad happens." "Thank you," I whispered. I left the hospital. I got into my car, and I opened the envelope. Inside was a letter, written in Dad's trembling hand. "My dear daughter, if you are reading this, it's because something has happened to you. Something I have feared for years. I never trusted Amanda. From the day you introduced her. Something in her eyes. Something false. Calculating. But you loved her. And I couldn't take that from you. I couldn't break your heart just over a suspicion. So I did the only thing I could do. Protect you. Everything is in your name, my daughter. The house, the business, the accounts, the properties. She can't touch it. And if she ever tries to hurt you, there's something else. At the downtown bank, under my name, there's a safety deposit box. The number is 1147. The key is in my desk. In the secret drawer only you know about. Inside that box is everything. Documents, proof, evidence of things Amanda did. Things I investigated, things I saved, in case you ever needed them. Use them, my daughter. Defend yourself. And remember, you are worth more than all the gold in the world. Your loving dad, Robert." Tears streamed down my face. Dad. Dad knew, from the beginning, and he protected me. Even after he died, he was still protecting me. The next day I went to the bank. I looked for the key in Dad's desk. In the secret drawer he showed me when I was a child. I keep what's important here, my daughter. And one day you'll keep yours here too. I found the key. I went to the bank. I opened box 1147. And inside, documents, photographs, contracts, proof of fraud Amanda had committed years ago, evidence of hidden accounts, of bribes, of dirty business, all documented, all saved. By my dad, who knew me, who knew that one day I was going to need this. I took everything to Mr. Ochoa. When he saw it, he was speechless. "Patty, this is dynamite." With this, Amanda won't just lose the lawsuit, she'll lose everything: her freedom, her name, her future. Good, I said firmly, because she tried to take mine. That night I sat in the garden, under the azaleas, where Amanda and I used to drink coffee on Sundays. And for the first time, I didn't feel nostalgia. I didn't feel pain. I only felt silence. A clean silence, full of possibilities. Because I was no longer trapped in the past. I was no longer chained to a woman who didn't deserve my love. I was free. And even though it hurt, even though the road was long, even though the scars were deep, I was going to be okay. Because I had something Amanda never had: dignity. And no one could take that from me. The weeks that followed were of a strange calm, like the silence after a storm. Amanda remained in prison, awaiting trial. I continued rebuilding my life, piece by piece, day by day. I returned to the company with a determination I didn't have before. I was no longer the Patty who wanted to please everyone. I was no longer the one who kept silent to keep the peace. Now I was someone new, someone who knew her worth. I called a general meeting with all the employees. Sandy, the receptionist, looked at me nervously. Robert, the accountant, had the documents ready. The rest of the team was there. 23 people who depended on this company to live. I stood in front of everyone. I know the last few months have been difficult, I began. I know there was uncertainty, rumors, fear. But I want you to know something. This company remains strong, and it will continue to be so. Some nodded, others just stared at me. Amanda Carter is no longer part of this company, and I know many of you worked with her for years. But what she did to this company, was theft, betrayal, and I will not allow that to happen again. I paused. So as of today, things are going to change. We're going to be transparent. We're going to be honest. And we're going to work as a real team, not as employees of a boss, but as a family building something together. Robert raised his hand. Mrs. Donovan, many of us wanted to tell you something. What is it? That we admire what you are doing. It's not easy to stand up after everything that happened. And you are doing it with dignity. I felt a lump in my throat. Thank you, Robert. Thank you all. Now let's get to work. We have a company to save. And so we did. I hired an external auditor to review every financial transaction of the last 5 years. We recovered some of the money Amanda had diverted. Not all of it. Some expenses were already made. Some accounts closed. But we recovered enough to stabilize the company. And I discovered something else. I discovered that I was good at this. Better than I thought. Because for years, Shez, I had convinced myself that Amanda was the brains of the business, that I was only helping. But the truth was different. I knew the clients. I understood the contracts. I knew how to negotiate, how to plan, how to grow. And without Amanda, the company didn't just survive. It grew. We landed 2 new contracts, one with a hotel chain in Las Vegas, another with a hospital in Atlanta. The numbers started to climb, the accounts balanced, and I started breathing again. But it wasn't all work. One afternoon, while reviewing papers in my office, the phone rang. It was an unknown number. I hesitated, but I answered. Mrs. Donovan? Yes, who is speaking? It's Monica, the busser, from the restaurant. My heart stopped. The busser, the girl who saved my life. My God, Monica, I wanted to look for you. I wanted to thank you, but I didn't know how. I know, Mum. That's why I'm calling you. I saw the news. I saw what happened with your daughter-in-law. And I wanted to know if you were okay. I'm fine, thanks to you. There was a silence. Can we meet? I asked. I need, I need to see you. I need to tell you in person what you did for me. All right. When? Tomorrow. Does the coffee shop where I met Victoria work for you? Perfect, at 3 o'clock. The next day, I arrived early. I ordered 2 coffees, and I waited. Monica arrived promptly. 28 years old, I learned later. Dark hair, big eyes, nervous hands. She sat down across from me. Hello, Mom. Patty. Just Patty. She smiled timidly. Hello, Patty. We looked at each other in silence, and then the words came out on their own. Thank you. Thank you for saving me. Thank you for risking yourself. Thank you for seeing something no one else saw. Monica looked down. I didn't do much. I heard something and... So you did everything, I interrupted her. Because if you hadn't warned me that night, I wouldn't be here. And you didn't know me. You had no reason to help me. But you did it anyway. I had a reason, she said softly. Because I went through something similar. What happened? My ex-boyfriend. 3 years ago. He hit me. He threatened me. He told me that if I left him, he would kill me. And I believed him. Because when someone tells you that every day, you start believing it. How did you get out? A neighbor. An elderly woman who lived next door. One day she saw me with a black eye. And she told me, Sweetie, if you don't leave today, tomorrow will be worse. She gave me money. She helped me pack. And she took me to my mum's house. And him? He tried to look for me. But my mum called the police. And him? He ended up in jail. For other things. Robberies. Violence. Not just against me. And now? Now I'm fine. I study in the mornings. I work in the afternoons. And I'm alive. Thanks to that lady who helped me. That's why you helped me. Yes. Because when I saw your daughter-in-law talking to those men in the parking lot, when I heard what they were saying, I knew something was wrong. And I thought, if no one helps her today, tomorrow will be too late. Tears streamed down my face. I don't know how to thank you, Monica. You don't have to thank me for anything. Just do what I did. What? If you ever see someone who needs help, help them. Because that's how the world changes. One woman at a time. I smiled through my tears. I promise. I couldn't sleep that night. I thought about Monica's words, one woman at a time, and then I knew what to do. I called Mr. Ochoa the next morning. Counselor, I want to start a foundation. What kind of foundation? For women. Women going through violence, abuse, situations like mine. I want to give them legal support, shelter, therapy, everything they need to get out. Patty, that's beautiful, but it will need resources, time, structure. I have all 3, and I have something else, a reason, which is because if Monica hadn't helped me, I wouldn't be here. And there are thousands of women like me who need someone to tell them, leave now before it's too late. Mr. Ochoa smiled. All right, we'll do it. The following weeks were a whirlwind. I hired lawyers specializing in family law. I rented a house that I converted into a temporary shelter. I hired psychologists, social workers, volunteers, and launched the foundation. I called it One Step Forward, because that's what we needed. One step. Just one. to get out of the darkness. On the day of the inauguration, journalists arrived, civil organizations, women who needed help. I gave a speech. My name is Patricia Donovan, and 4 months ago my daughter-in-law tried to kill me. The silence was absolute, not out of passion, not out of madness, but for money. Because to her I was worth more dead than alive. I paused. But I am here, alive, thanks to a busser who warned me, thanks to a sister who supported me, thanks to a father who protected me even after he died, and thanks to myself for deciding not to give up. This foundation is for all the women who are where I was, scared, alone, thinking there's no way out. But there is a way out, and we are going to help them find it. The applause was thunderous, and as I looked at all those women, I knew that this was what I had to do. Not for revenge, not for justice, but for healing. 3 weeks later, I received a letter from Amanda, from prison. I hesitated to open it, but Kathy encouraged me. Open it, and if you don't like what it says, burn it, like the photos. I opened it. Patty, I've had a lot of time to think in here. Too much time. And I understood something. I never valued you. I never saw you. I only saw the money, the business, what I could get. But you were more than that. You were my partner, my support, my everything. And I lost it. I'm not asking for forgiveness, because I know I don't deserve it. I only ask you one thing, that you keep going, that you don't let what I did destroy you, because you are worth more than everything I tried to take from you. You always were. Amanda. I read the letter. I put it in a drawer, and I didn't burn it, not because I forgave her, but because I no longer needed to destroy anything else. I had destroyed enough. Now it was time to build. One afternoon, while I was working at the foundation, a woman arrived, young, maybe 30 years old, with a small child in her hand. Mrs. Donovan? Yes, tell me. I saw your interview on television, and I need help. Tell me. My husband hits me, for 2 years now, and I don't know how to leave. I don't have money. I don't have family here, and I'm afraid that if I leave, he'll find me. I looked at her, and I saw my own reflection. You're going to be okay, I told her, taking her hand. You're safe here, and we're going to help you. I promise you. She started crying. Thank you, thank you. Don't thank me, thank yourself. Because you came. You took the step. And that is the hardest thing. That night I sat in my garden under the stars, and I thought about everything that had happened. About Amanda, about the betrayal, about the fear. But I also thought about what I gained, my freedom, my strength, my purpose. Because now I knew something I didn't know before. That pain can become wisdom, that betrayal can become liberation, and that wounds, when they heal well, turn into scars that remind us. I survived, and I can survive anything. The trial arrived, 2 months after the preliminary hearing. 2 months in which Amanda remained in pre-trial detention. 2 months in which I rebuilt my life. The morning of the trial dawned grey. Heavy clouds covered the city, as if the sky knew what was coming. I dressed in white, an elegant, impeccable white business suit. Kathy looked at me strangely. White? I thought you'd wear black. Black is for mourning, I replied, and I'm no longer mourning. I'm being reborn. My sister smiled. Then white is perfect. We arrived at the courthouse early. This time the press was even more numerous. The case had garnered national attention. The businesswoman who wanted to murder her mother-in-law for $2 million. Betrayal, money, and an attempted murder. The Carter case. The woman who survived the perfect plan. The headlines were like daggers, but they no longer hurt me, because I knew the truth, and the truth always comes out in the end. We entered the courtroom. Mr. Ochoa was already there, with his folders, his documents, his evidence. "Ready?" he asked me. "Ready. Remember, you don't have to speak if you don't want to. I'll handle everything." "I know, but I want to speak. Are you sure?" "Completely, because there was something I needed to say, something Amanda needed to hear, not for her, but for me." The doors opened, and she entered. Amanda, escorted by 2 officers in a wrinkled grey suit, several days' growth of beard, her hair dishevelled. She looked destroyed. Our eyes met, and this time I didn't look away. I held it, firm, serene. And she? She was the first to look down. The judge entered. We all stood up. "You may be seated. We will begin." The prosecutor presented the case. With precision, clarity, and forcefulness, he showed the fraudulent life insurance contract, the illegal $800,000 transfers, the testimonies of the 2 men Amanda hired for the assault, the recorded testimony of Victoria, and finally the documents Dad had kept in the safety deposit box. Evidence of previous fraud, of murky dealings, of a decade of lies. Amanda's lawyer tried to defend her. "Your Honor, my client made mistakes, serious mistakes, but she is not a murderer. She never had the real intention of—" "She didn't have the intention," the prosecutor interrupted. "Hiring 2 armed men to shoot your mother-in-law in the middle of a simulated robbery is not intention. She was desperate. Financial pressure. Financial pressure does not justify murder, Counselor, and you know it." The lawyer sat down, defeated. Then the judge looked at me. "Mrs. Donovan, would you like to make a statement?" I stood up. My legs were trembling, but my voice was firm. "Yes, Your Honor." I walked to the stand. I placed my hand on the Bible. I swore to tell the truth. And I began. "My name is Patricia Donovan. I am 55 years old, and I was married to the Carter family for 30 years. I looked toward her. During those 30 years, I believed we were building a life together. I believed we were a team. I believed the love we felt was real." I paused. But it wasn't, at least not for her, because while I worked 12 hours a day in the business I inherited from my father, she was stealing. While I trusted, she was lying. And while I slept in our bed, believing I was safe, she was planning how to kill me. My voice broke, but I continued. Not out of passion, not out of hatred, but for money. $2 million. That was the price of my life to her. And the worst part is that it almost worked. Because I trusted. Because when she called me for that reconciliation dinner, a part of me still wanted to believe that the woman I loved was there, that she would return. But she didn't return, because she never left, because that good person never existed. I looked at the judge. "I am here today, Your Honor, not just to ask for justice, but to tell all the women who are listening. If something in your relationship makes you feel fear, leave. Don't wait. Don't justify. Don't convince yourself that it will change. Because people like Amanda don't change. They just hide who they are better." I returned to my seat. The silence in the room was absolute. Even the judge was moved. After my testimony, Victoria was called. She entered slowly, nervous, her hands trembling. But when she spoke, her voice was clear. She repeated everything she had said before: the plan, the threats, the violence. And when she finished, she looked at Amanda. I believed you too. I believed you when you said you loved me, when you said we were going to be together. But you just used me, like you used Patty, like you used everyone. Amanda lowered her head, without saying anything, without defending herself, because there was no possible defense. Then Robert, the accountant, testified, with documents, with numbers, with irrefutable proof of the embezzlement. And finally, the two men Amanda hired testified, Mike and George, two men in their 40s, with criminal records, desperate for money. Mrs. Carter offered us $50,000, Mike said. 25,000 up front, 25,000 after everything was over. And what exactly were you supposed to do? The prosecutor asked. Fake a robbery, enter the restaurant, yell, shoot into the air, and in the middle of the chaos, shoot the lady, make it look like an accident. And why didn't you do it? Because she wasn't there. She left early, and Mrs. Carter went crazy. She called us, she yelled at us. She said we were useless, and that she wasn't going to pay us. Do you have proof of this? Yes, texts, calls, transfers of the upfront money. The prosecutor presented the evidence. Everything was there. Every text, every cent, every lie. The judge called a recess. We went out into the hallway. Kathy hugged me. You did perfectly, Patty. Perfectly. I just told the truth. And that's the most powerful thing you can say. Mr. Ochoa approached. The case is won. There's no way she'll be declared innocent. How much time do you think they'll give her? With all the charges, between 15 and 25 years, minimum. I nodded. I didn't feel joy, only relief. After the recess, the judge called Amanda to the stand. Mrs. Carter, do you wish to make a final statement? Amanda stood up slowly, as if every movement hurt her. She walked to the stand and spoke. I have no excuse for what I did. There are no words that can explain it. I can only say I'm sorry. She looked over at me. Patty, you gave me 30 years of your life, and I wasted them. I threw them away for money I didn't even need, out of fear of losing what was never mine. Her voice broke. You deserve everything. The house, the business, the life you are building, and I deserve to be here, paying for what I did. I just hope that one day you can remember me not just as the woman who betrayed you, but as the woman who at least had the courage to admit her mistake. She sat down and didn't look at me again. The judge deliberated for 2 hours. When he returned, his face was severe. Mrs. Amanda Carter, please stand up. Amanda stood up. After reviewing all the evidence presented, this court finds you guilty of the following charges: aggravated fraud, embezzlement, conspiracy to commit murder, attempted murder, and sentences you to 20 years in prison with no possibility of early parole. Furthermore, full restitution of the stolen money to Mrs. Patricia Donovan is ordered, and a permanent restraining order is established. Mrs. Carter will not be able to approach Mrs. Donovan within 2,000 yards, ever. The gavel fell. Bang! Case closed. Amanda was handcuffed again. As they led her out of the room, she stopped. She looked at me and mouthed the words, I'm sorry. I didn't respond. I just watched her go, toward a cell, toward the place where she would spend the next 20 years, away from me, away from everything she tried to take from me. Outside the courthouse, the press was waiting for us. But this time, I spoke. I stood in front of the microphones, and I said, "Justice was served today, not just for me, but for all the women who have been betrayed, abused, manipulated, and almost murdered by people who claimed to love them. Amanda Carter will spend the next 20 years in prison, and I will spend the next 20 years living, helping, building, because that is my revenge, not destroying her, but building myself." The flashes exploded, questions flew, but I had already said everything I needed to say. That night, Kathy prepared a special dinner to celebrate. Celebrate what? That you won, that you're alive, that you're free. We ate slowly, chicken with rosemary, rice, beans, homemade cornbread, like Mum used to make. "You know what's the strangest thing?" I said. "What?" "That I don't feel hate. I thought that when everything ended I would hate her. But no, I only feel pity." Pity? Yes, because she lost everything. Her freedom, her name, her future, and all for money she didn't even need. While I gained everything, my freedom, my dignity, my purpose. Kathy raised her glass. "To you, sister, to the bravest woman I know." We clinked glasses and toasted to life, to justice, to the future. 3 months later, I received a letter from the prison, but it wasn't from Amanda. It was from her cellmate. "Mrs. Donovan, you don't know me. My name is Helen. I share a cell with Amanda Carter. I'm writing because she asked me to tell you something. Amanda is very sick. She has cancer, pancreatic cancer, advanced stage. Doctors say she has maybe 6 months left. She doesn't want treatment. She says there's no point, that it's her punishment. She just wanted you to know." Helen. I read the letter, once, twice, and I put it away. I didn't feel joy, or sadness, not even surprise. I just thought, life always collects its debts. I didn't go to visit her. I didn't write to her. I didn't send her anything, because I didn't owe her anything anymore. Not forgiveness, not words, not time. She made her decisions, and now she was paying for them. Not by my hand, but by the hand of fate, of karma, of the silent justice that always arrives, sooner or later. 6 months later, I received another letter. From the prison, Mrs. Donovan. "We inform you that inmate Amanda Carter passed away today. At 3:47 in the morning. She left no will. She left no instructions. She only left a note, with your name on it. We enclose the note. Prison administration." I opened the note, written in Amanda's trembling handwriting. "Patty, I died alone, as I deserved. Thank you for teaching me that money was never worth anything. I folded the note. I put it in the same drawer where I kept the previous one, and I closed the drawer. Forever. I didn't go to her funeral. Kathy asked me if I wanted to go. "No," I replied. "That woman is no longer part of my life, neither alive nor dead." "Are you sure?" "Completely, because I had already closed that chapter. I had already cried what I had to cry. I had already healed what I had to heal. And now I only looked forward." That afternoon, I went to the foundation. There were 3 new women, young, scared, but brave, because they had taken the step. They had asked for help. I greeted them with a smile. "Welcome. You are safe here, and together we will find the way." One of them, the youngest, asked me, "You? Did you also go through this?" "Yes. And how did you know you were going to get through it?" I smiled. "I didn't know. I just took one step, and then another, and another, until one day I looked back and saw everything I had walked. And it doesn't hurt anymore. Sometimes it does, but the pain no longer controls me. Now I control it." She nodded, and I saw hope in her eyes, the same hope that I had found. 3 years have passed since that night at the restaurant. 3 years since a busser put money in my hand and told me, "Get a cab and run now." 3 years since my life changed forever. Today is Sunday. I wake up early, as always. I make coffee. The aroma fills the kitchen, that smell of a new morning that never stops comforting me. I go out to the garden. The azaleas are bigger than ever, bright pink under the morning sun. I sit on the same bench where Amanda and I used to drink coffee. But now it's only mine, and that doesn't hurt me. On the contrary, it fills me with peace. The company is better than ever. We recovered all the money Amanda stole and more. Last year we opened a new branch in Phoenix. This year we plan another in Atlanta. Robert is still with me. He's now the chief financial officer. Sandy is no longer a receptionist. She's the administrative coordinator. And the team grew from 23 to 52 people, all committed, all working for something bigger than a salary. Because now they know that this company has a soul, that it's not just money, it's a legacy. The One Step Forward Foundation also grew. We have 3 shelters now, one in New York City, another in Philadelphia, and the most recent one in Chicago. We have helped 237 women in 3 years, 237 women who left violent relationships, who took back their lives, who smiled again. Each one of them is my victory. Each one of them is proof that pain can be transformed into purpose. Monica, the busser, works with me now. She no longer serves tables. She is now the volunteer coordinator at the foundation. She studied psychology. She graduated last year. And every time a new woman arrives at the shelter, Monica greets her with the same gentleness with which she greeted me that night. "You are safe here," she tells her, "and you are going to get through this, I promise you." And those words save lives, like they saved mine. Victoria also found her way. After the trial, she disappeared for a while. But 6 months ago, she wrote to me, "Patty, I don't know if you want to hear from me, but I need to tell you something. I went back to school. I'm finishing my law degree. I want to help women like us, like you helped me. Thank you for not hating me. Thank you for seeing me for what I was. Another victim." V. I replied with a single word. "Victoria, everyone deserves a second chance. You are taking yours. And that's what matters. When you finish your degree, there's a place for you at the foundation, if you want." P. She replied with a single word. "Yes." And now we wait for her to graduate, for her to be part of this team, of this family, because that's how we heal, not by destroying those who hurt us, but by building with those who are willing to change. Kathy continues to be my rock, my sister, my guardian angel. She lives 3 blocks from me. We see each other every day. We drink coffee, we talk, we laugh. Sometimes we cry, because the pain doesn't disappear. It just transforms. It becomes softer, more manageable, wiser. "Do you ever regret it?" she asked me a few days ago. Regret what? Trusting her, losing 30 years. I thought about it. "No," I replied. Because those 30 years taught me something important. What? That trusting is not weakness, loving is not weakness, believing in someone is not weakness. Then what is it? It's bravery. Because loving, knowing you can be hurt, is the bravest act there is. Kathy smiled. You get wiser every day, my sister. I get more me every day. Sometimes when I'm alone, I think about Dad, about how he protected me even after he died, about how he knew, from the beginning, that Amanda wasn't trustworthy. And I wonder, how did I not see it? But then I remember something the therapist told me. Patty, you saw what you wanted to see, because love is like that. It sees the best in people, even when it doesn't exist. Is that bad? No. That's human and beautiful. The mistake wasn't loving. The mistake was staying when it stopped being love. She was right. I stayed too long, justifying, waiting, believing she would change. But now I know something. People don't change. They only reveal who they always were. And Amanda was always who she was at the end. I just didn't want to see it. A month ago, I visited her grave, not because I missed her, but because I needed to close that door, completely. I arrived alone, with a bouquet of white flowers, not roses, just chrysanthemums, the flowers of the dead. I stood in front of the headstone, Amanda Carter, 1970 to 2025. Nothing more. There was no beloved wife. There was no mother. There was no rest in peace. Just her name. And 2 dates. As if her life had meant nothing. And maybe it didn't mean anything. Because in the end, what did she leave behind? She didn't leave love. She didn't leave a legacy. She didn't leave anything good. She only left pain. And that pain was no longer even mine. I placed the flowers on the grave, and I spoke, in a low voice, so only she could hear. If you can, I came to tell you something, Amanda. Something you need to know. I forgave you. Not because you deserved it, but because I deserved to be at peace. Because carrying hatred is like drinking poison and waiting for the other person to die. And I don't want poison in my life anymore. You were part of my history, 30 years, but you are no longer part of my future. And that's okay, because now I have something you never had: peace, purpose, and the certainty that I am worth more than you believed. I paused. Rest, Amanda, or don't. It's no longer my problem. I turned around, and I left, without looking back, because there was nothing left to see there. That night I hosted a dinner at my house. I invited the people who matter: Kathy, Monica, Robert, Mr. Ochoa, and 5 women from the foundation, women who, like me, survived. We cooked together, laughter, music, wine. And when we sat down at the table, I made a toast. To the women who are no longer here, the ones who didn't have the opportunity we had. To the ones who are still trapped, waiting for the courage to take the step. And to us, the ones who left, the ones who survived, the ones who decided to turn pain into power. Everyone raised their glasses. Cheers! And we toasted. To life, to freedom, to self-love. After dinner, one of the women approached me. Her name is Andrea. She's 32 years old. She left a violent relationship 8 months ago. Patty, can I ask you something? Of course. When does it stop hurting? I smiled. It doesn't stop hurting, Andrea. But the pain changes. It stops being an open wound, and it becomes a scar. And do scars hurt? Sometimes. when it rains, when you remember, but they no longer paralyze you. They just remind you that you survived. She nodded. And one day will I ever be able to trust again? Yes, but this time you'll trust differently. You'll trust with your eyes open, with clear boundaries, and with the certainty that if someone hurts you, you have the power to leave. Thank you, Patty. Thank you for being here, for taking the step, for choosing to live. Today, 3 years later, I am 58 years old. Grey hair, wrinkles on my face, hands that have worked. But I also have something else. Light in my eyes, peace in my heart, and the certainty that my life has meaning. Sometimes people ask me, "Aren't you afraid of being alone?" And I answer, "I'm not alone. I'm accompanied by myself." And that is enough. Because I learned something important. Being alone is not the same as being empty. Being alone is having space to think, to grow, to heal. And I am no longer afraid of the silence, because in the silence, I found myself. If my story reached you here, if someone is listening to it, I want to tell you something. You are worth more than you think. You are worth more than money, more than appearances, more than the empty promises of someone who doesn't know how to love you. And if you are in a relationship where you feel fear, where you feel small, where every day you lose a piece of yourself, leave. It doesn't matter how long you've been in it. It doesn't matter how much you love. It doesn't matter how scared you are. Leave, because the life you deserve is on the other side of that door. And I'll be there, with open arms, ready to help you take that step. One step forward. Today is Sunday. The sun is shining, the azaleas are blooming, and I am alive, free, and at peace, and that is all I need. Thank you for listening to the end. If this story touched your heart, subscribe and hit the notification bell to hear more stories of women who transformed their pain into wisdom. Every day, one woman, one life lesson. Share this story with someone you love. Sometimes a story like this can change an entire day. God bless you, and until next time. The most important lesson I learned is that we are not defined by the roles others give us: wife, mother, daughter-in-law, or even victim. We are defined by the courage we summon when those roles are threatened. Amanda taught me that fear of loneliness can be a cage, leading us to accept toxicity and silence for the illusion of safety. But real safety isn't found in a person. It's found in the power of your own voice and the certainty of your self-worth. If something feels wrong, it is wrong. Don't wait for irrefutable proof to protect yourself. Sometimes a whisper from a stranger is the universe giving you a second chance. The truest act of love is self-preservation, and the greatest victory is transforming your deepest betrayal into your life's purpose, using your pain not to destroy the one who hurt you, but to build a haven for those who need to find their own path to freedom.